Hello, everybody. I really wanted to talk about planting, reaping, and sowing, and women. Now, this is a little bit of an unusual topic, and it is perhaps delving once again into the unseen. There's lots of things that I'm going to say that you really cannot prove. So, just a disclaimer right here now. So, in the Bible, we read a lot about how land is depicted as a woman. We see that the nation of Israel is considered like the wife of God, and it's very often described in feminine terms. And we also see in popular literature the same thing. One of my very favorite books is called The Heart of Darkness, and it depicts Africa as a woman, and it is one of the most supremely divine quotes that I could really read. And let's see if I can get it up here and read it. Okay, so she walked with measured steps, draped in striped and fringed cloths, treading the earth proudly with a slight jingle and a flash of barbarous ornaments. She carried her head high, her hair was done in the shape of a helmet. She had brass leggings to the knee, brass wire gauntlets to the elbow, a crimson spot on her tawny cheek, innumerable necklaces or of glass beads on her neck, bizarre things, charms, gifts of witchmen that hung about her, glittered and trembled with every step. She must have had the value of several elephant tusks upon her. She was savage and superb, wild-eyed and magnificent. There was something ominous and stately in her deliberate progress, and in the hush that had fallen suddenly upon the whole sorrowful land, the immense wilderness, the colossal body of the fecund and mysterious life seemed to look at her, pensive, as though it had been looking at the image of its own tenebrous and passionate soul. So this is once again, a lot of people, at least in my own literature class, assumed that this was actually depicting Africa, and that this was actually sort of a symbolic statement of the whole of Africa. So we see that there is definitely a connection between women and land. So I really want to bring up the whole Bible story, or the Bible verse about the healing of land. It says that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and call upon me, I will hear from heaven and I will heal their land. That is a very, very popular quote. It's become very popularized throughout the years, especially maybe about 5 years ago. A lot of Christians were quoting this particular Bible verse. And, it leads me to basically explain what it is that I really think of in regards to women. So, if you look at a man who is a spiritual king, and a spiritual king is, in my opinion, a man who really looks after others, a shepherd type of person who really looks after and guards the sheep, is somebody who has faith and a certain amount of authority and a certain amount of weight that is carried not just in his own life but in the spirit as well. You can say that there are also women who are queens, and those queens, whereas the kings have those particular qualities and characteristics, and they sort of create boundaries and they create stability and safety in an area, a woman is the atmosphere of any place, of any land, of any property. She is what feels wonderful whenever you go to any home or to any part of a country, or she's also perhaps the haunted feeling of any dark or desolate place. So women and the queens of a land are really what fills the atmosphere full of good things or even desolate and horrible things. So, and this is what brings me back to another particular, how can I say, duty or job of any person, but in particular those who are looking to heal a land or to heal a place. And very often, I think that even when you're looking at a book like The Heart of Darkness, you saw a real strange darkness in the heart of man in trying to grab a hold of Africa, and they did so through conquering Africa and conquering and dominating the land and really taking over. And we see this in the depiction, or just in everyday life and the relationships that we have between the sexes. And very often men really want to conquer the land of a woman, but he doesn't necessarily think of cultivating the garden or the land of a woman, and doing so by nurturing it and loving it and taking care of it and planting good things and allowing those seeds to kind of really grow. And I believe that there is a weird connection between that particular Bible verse about when you call upon God and God will heal their land and so on and so forth, that this is a prayer not just for land but for the soul of man, which is going to directly influence the soul of women, and that there is a connection between the health of the soul of men and how they are gardening, or if they are able to really tend the garden of women, and that sort of lets out the most beautiful essence and the most beautiful atmosphere. And it reminds me a little bit of the Song of Solomon, where it talks about her like essence just kind of flowing. So anyway, just some thoughts about the difference between when you're really looking to conquer and dominate and control, and the dark forces that can creep in all of us. And that's including women too, but in regards to this playoff in the spirit between kings and queens, men and women, and the importance of both of these things, where the men make the boundaries and they make the boundaries safe and secure, and the women fill the air with beautiful, delightful things. And how important it is for women to be tended and taken care of and in a particular way nurtured, for that garden to release the perfume that fills the air, and the tremendous fruit that is released when that really happens and when that really takes place. So just some thoughts that I had. Obviously it's getting kind of dark. I don't know if anyone can see me, but that's all for today. Or maybe it's not all for today. Maybe I'll come up with something else. But that's it for just this particular video.